Hello, I'm Ruth Moore, your host for today's show about extraordinary puppies. Traditionally, dogs have been companion and friend to mankind. Some, through special training, have exceptional talents, and they can be taught to protect and help us. Today, we are privileged to have on our show a yellow lab puppy named Jill and her razor trainers, Carl and Margaret McCann. Together, they have completed the first phase of training. You'll lose your heart when you hear today's story. Right after this.
Welcome to The Better Part, a program by and for seniors and devoted to exploring the many facets of those better years of our lives. The name of our program was inspired by a quotation from Robert Browning. "Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be, the last of life for which the first was made." Now, sit back and enjoy a program made especially to provide seniors with useful information, plus some lighter moments to brighten your day.
Carl is a member of the Better Part crew. He and his wife, Margaret, have spent the past several months as a puppy raiser for a very special dog. This puppy is training to be a service dog. Today we welcome Carl and his wife Margaret and his yellow Labrador puppy named Jill. Hello, Carl and Margaret.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Ruth. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. Now, you've trained Jill as a service dog. Just what is a service dog?
A service dog is a dog that is specially trained to do tasks over and above and to help people in disabilities and areas where they need more than just a pet.
Mm-hmm. Someone that really needs assistance of some sort.
Absolutely.
What kind of things can they do?
They can assist people in wheelchairs. They can open and close doors. They can turn on lights, turn lights off. They can open the refrigerator door and bring a refreshment to the person in a wheelchair. Some dogs are trained to especially assist those with hearing problems. They can alert them to a phone ringing or a doorbell. They also have been used with autistic children to good advantage. Or they could be a facility dog, a dog that goes to a hospital or a clinic and helps in calming patients and helping with psychiatric issues.
Now, are these dogs trained separately? Someone that's a hearing dog, for example, is different from a special dog of some kind or a service dog?
Well, after we finish with Jill, which is coming right up when she's 18 months, then she goes to boot camp back up in, it's boot camp. It's 8 months long. And that's where they start getting specialized training. So if they have someone who has a hearing problem and they're looking for a dog, they will watch these dogs, they'll work with the dogs, and they'll see one that maybe is the most ability.
So it's a matchmaker thing,
right,
something
and
between
then
the
they
dog
will
and
in fact work on that dog and train them specifically for that.
That's a marvelous thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Really is.
That an animal that's so beautiful can do something like that for others.
Right.
That's terrific. Now, where did this dog come from? How did you get her?
Well, if you look up in your Wikipedia and type in service dogs, you'll find that there are many, many organizations that provide service dogs. Here they are. Paws with a Cause, Support Dogs, Inc., Canine Companions for Independence, Dogs for Diabetics, Mira Foundation, National Service Dogs. This particular dog came from an organization called Canine Companions for Independence. I've got a little logo on my shirt here. She has a logo on her cape.
Is that a local organization?
It's pretty local. It's up in Santa Rosa, California, and that's not part of the Bay Area, and that's where the national headquarters is for Canine Companions for Independence.
Mm-hmm. Now, this organization, I believe, wasn't this the one started by Charles Schulz, the cartoonist?
Absolutely. He and his wife Jeannie have a foundation, and this is one of their many projects. And Jeannie is still with us today, and she's very, very active in the organization. And as I say, the organization is a national organization, does this for a wide variety of people, and the national headquarters is in Santa Rosa.
So they have offices all over the United States?
Yes,
is
they
that
do.
it? That's marvelous. How long have they been in business? Do you know?
Oh, they've been around for
Quite some time now.
20 years or so, I'm sure.
Okay. Now you're considered a puppy raiser, the two of you.
Yes.
So what's a puppy raiser?
Well, a puppy raiser, we're basically the foster parents. We've taken on the responsibility to pick up this puppy when she was 11 weeks old, and that's about when they're given out. They're very young. Bring her home, potty train her, take her to the vet. We're a financial backer as well as a puppy raiser. Anything that comes up, we are responsible for. We buy all their food.
The food, do you have to serve it in a crystal dish?
No, good old stainless steel works really, really well. Anything I can get it on. But they do recommend certain types of food, and they're very, very particular. We take her to training classes. We are totally responsible for her welfare, just like she was our pet, except there's more expectations.
Well, now, when you talk about food, do you give her any table scraps?
Never.
Anything? Never.
Never.
Just very specific
Right.
diet?
Right.
Very specific diet. She is not allowed to beg at all, which is why we never give her table scraps, because that's what, in fact, starts dogs begging. And
She doesn't even beg for this food,
no,
her treats, does
no,
she?
we could have,
We do have dog treats that are used as a part of the training program.
That's dogs respond to food, and that's a huge part of the training program.
I
is
noticed
food.
earlier, Carl said that even sees a hamburger or something, she won't go for it unless
She's given permission.
She's given permission. That's,
Yes.
that's really
Right.
good. Besides the food costs, what other obligations do you have with her?
Well, we have vet bills. We have to make sure she gets her worm medicine and flea medicine, and
And if she needs to be doctored, you take her to vet.
our vet. Then we
Yeah.
pay for the bill, right?
That could be kind of costly, can't
It
it?
has been, yes.
Yeah. So you'd have to be aware of this sort of thing.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Is it tax deductible?
Unfortunately, those expenses are tax deductible because that is it's a nonprofit. The Canine Companions for Independence is a independent, and it's a tax deductible organization. So
Well, that's
anything we
helpful.
spend on her behalf is considered a charitable deduction.
Oh, that's helpful then.
Yes.
Yeah. How about her in particular? Is there any particular things about her style or her personality that you've noticed?
Well, Jill came out of a litter of puppies. There were eight puppies in the litter. She was the only female, so that she had 7 brothers.
My
and so
goodness.
she had to become
I don't
queen of
know
the
many-
hop right away.
I don't know of any woman that would like that.
But she's been specially bred for temperament, and she is very, very calm, and she loves people. She's very social. That's part of her breeding, is to bond with people because she's going to be a companion to a person. And of course, she loves other dogs as well, but she bonds strongly with
Now,
us.
when you're going to bring her back, will she be able to go into a new family again easily? Is that
We
something
think
that
so.
they expect?
We think so, yes.
That's absolutely required. As a matter of fact, if they don't think that will happen, then she would not pass the program.
But she seems to be following everything pretty well now,
You
learning
give her, yeah,
everything.
she'd go with anybody here. She'd walk off with you right now.
You know, I saw something the other day on television, and it showed some of these service dogs as that they could read. That they had a sign that was about so big, and with big letters on it that said B-A-R-K, and they showed it to this dog, and the dog barked.
Okay.
I'm not kidding you. I was watching this
That's
thing.
amazing.
And then
Yeah.
they had a sign that said down, and they showed it to the dog, and the dog laid down.
Oh, wow. So
Isn't
that
that
would work
something?
very well for somebody who could not speak.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or maybe even hear. A hearing might
I don't know.
do
That's
something like that.
interesting. I had not heard that.
Yeah.
We'll have to work
I
on
was
her
amazed.
reading.
I just looked at that thing. I thought, oh, well, is this really true? You
I don't know. Yeah.
But they showed it, so it was true. They can really train these dogs.
Yeah, they're very intelligent.
Yeah. Now, have you taken her on trips with you? Is this a problem at all, or are you able to take her on trips?
Certainly. As a canine companion, she could go on planes. She can stay in hotel rooms. We take her to any restaurant, and she just goes and sits. You know, we took her to a trip down to Southern California, to Palm Springs, and some of the problems is they're used to pooping in their own backyard, and so when they're in a different environment, that's something they have, and they do have to learn that, but it's certainly more challenging when you're on a trip.
Are they resistant then to?
Yeah, they are,
they're not
and if they can't,
comfortable.
they're not as comfortable, and they're on a leash, and that makes it a little bit more of a challenge. But she, you know, she picked up on it. Luckily, we stayed at a very pet-friendly place, and there's a large run area for her,
that's
so
good.
she could run. That's the problem with traveling, is they can't run. You always have to have them on a leash.
But then again, if you had to leave her, you would have someone that you could leave her with.
You could either have a neighbor or one of your children, or you can call the network of all the other puppy raisers in the community, because there's a lot of puppy raisers.
Several of them right in this area.
In the San Jose area, that's right. And you send a little email and say, hey, you know, I need somebody to help me with my puppy for a few days while I'm gone, and somebody would call and say, okay, sure, I'd love to take Jill for a few days.
I'll take her.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
That's right.
So,
Well, do people stop and talk to you when you're out with her?
all the time,
Yeah.
all the time.
They want to know all about her.
Yeah, and we don't always have her cape on her when we're walking her, but if we do, it's like instant attention.
Right.
Instant
Now,
attention.
is that a wise thing to have people talk to her?
It is, because
is?
again, at this phase of their training, we're trying to socialize her. We're trying to get her used to all kinds of different activities and different social settings. Because once she has been trained to a specialty, she may get involved with large crowds. She may get involved in a store situation. She may get involved in a restaurant situation. So we want her to have that experience already before she goes into her specialized training.
Yeah.
And certainly people will stop. They'll be curious. When she's working, when she actually has been assigned to a person like in a wheelchair, it's not encouraged to have people stop, because she's a working dog at that point.
Yeah.
But they are friendly, and so I'm sure that there will be occasions when that will happen.
I know I stopped a woman once and talked to her, and she said, please don't pet the dog.
Yeah.
And
Because they're
apparently
working.
it was, something that particular dog
Right.
shouldn't have. So you have to respect that,
You have to respect
and
that, and
realize
you-
that this may be a problem. And
People should always approach the owner rather than the dog.
oh yeah, well, and then too, all dogs. I always offer my hand this way if I'm going to go to a dog rather than like this.
Right.
And especially little children,
Right.
how are kids around a dog like this? I would imagine they would love them.
They do. Our grandchildren love this dog.
They do.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
definitely.
they want you to keep it, don't they?
They do. They do. Yes.
Well, now, something like this would be a good dog for someone who has, say, muscular dystrophy,
Yes.
and they have difficulty even moving themselves. The dog probably can't move them, but maybe if once they're in a chair, can the dogs pull a chair or anything like that? Or
Well, they could pull a wheelchair. They couldn't pull a chair. So
yeah, they
these
had
dogs are not perfect for everybody and for
Yes.
every situation, because they can't. But if the person was in a chair and they needed them to get something or get the door or something,
and
then
there
they could
again,
do that.
it would be the kind of dog that was
Right.
trained for that particular
Right.
situation.
Right.
Now, are these dogs fixed, spayed, neutered at all?
Not at this point, because they haven't decided whether they're going to use them for breeding.
Oh, that's a
So
good
Jill's
point.
already gone through one heat, and when she does, we took her back to Santa Rosa. She stayed there while she was in heat. Then we got her back.
Oh,
But
yes.
at some point during her boot camp, they will decide if she's going to be a breeder dog or not, and then they will, act accordingly.
Yeah, yeah. And you wonder about that because other dogs love dogs, and
yes.
so if they're working and another dog comes on the scene, are they tempted to run after that other dog or be with it or play with it, or?
Well, they're trained not to.
They're trained not to.
They're trained not to.
But at this stage, she's just working into some of these
That's
things,
correct.
huh?
Yeah, she's very good right now. We have a front patio, and we'll have her out there on her leash, and another dog, and we'll tell her to stay, and she'll stay, and rather than run after, you know. So
Yeah.
she is learning that she can't do that.
Yeah, that's good to know too. Now, if Jill doesn't make it, so to speak, you know, if she doesn't go through all these classes, there's several classes after this, right?
Right.
Now, it's a training process. It takes, what's the next class that she's going to go to? Is it going to take a long time, or?
We don't know exactly. I mean, it's 8 months. Once we turn her in, we're out of the picture. We can't
see.
even visit.
Oh,
Right.
that's interesting.
Yeah, they said you're not allowed to even visit. You can call and say, how's she doing?
hi,
and
Jill, how
they
you doing?
do send out reports that says what they're doing, how they're, you know,
How
on
they're
different, on
progressing.
how they're progressing.
Uh-huh.
But you can't physically visit them.
Oh,
But
they don't want them to go back.
no, they don't want them to go back.
Yeah.
Regress.
But,
I can understand that.
And they do a very good medical checkup when they get, and they could be rejected right there if there's a medical problem. They could call you up and say, you know, sorry, your dog did not pass, in which case, would you like the puppy back?
So would you take her back?
Oh, I think so.
The kids will take her.
I think the kids will take her, yes. Oh, and if we don't want her, then they have an adoption list of people that would like to adopt them.
Oh, yes.
A long list.
I'll bet they do, because they're
Right.
trained and
Yeah.
they're,
They're
very
very good.
nice
Right.
dogs
Very
to
good
have.
animals,
And
right.
Yeah, they may shed a little bit, but
they shed a lot. But that could happen anywhere along the 8 months. I mean, they could be 6 months in and something could happen. They'll say, well, this dog really is not appropriate. And they would call you and say, you know,
Ruth,
And
you need to know too that their standards are very, very high for these animals, because they are like the creme de la creme. In order to be a canine companion for somebody who really needs these dogs, they've got to be, you know, really top notch. 6 out of 10 don't make it. So the
6
odds
out
are
of 10.
against a dog actually qualifying. Only about 38 to 40% of them actually become canine companions.
Well, now, does the general public bring dogs into them and say, will my dog work for this? Or they don't even accept any? I would imagine that would be opening up to disease and stuff that they wouldn't
That's
want to
correct.
be
And they have, again, a very tightly controlled breeding program.
breeding.
And they breed for temperament, and they breed for intelligence, and they breed for the aptitude to do these kinds of dogs, these kinds of tasks. For this particular program, they even limit the breed. They only use Labradors, both yellow and black, and also golden retrievers, or a mix of those two. And that's the only dogs that they use in the program.
Now, that's interesting that they've narrowed it down to just a few specimens of dogs.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's next for her are classes to go further till she can graduate
When she's
and be
18
placed.
months old, we will be turning her in back into Santa Rosa, and she'll
Yeah.
be in that boot camp.
And they'll place her with whatever kind of person she will match well with. I mean,
And we may have mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again that for people who need these kind of animals and this kind of help, it's absolutely free. They don't have to pay anything for these animals.
that's something. That's a good point to make.
Right.
How do they qualify for something like that?
They go through a screening program just like we went through a screening program. The organization interviews people, and they get recommendations, I'm sure, from the medical community and so on. But somebody who has a special need, and they will come in and be screened. Once they do qualify, then at some point they will enter that advanced training program along with the animal, and they will be matched. And I think there's about a 3 to 4 week indoctrination period.
Now, when someone is accepted like that, are they told to feed the dog the way you've been taught to feed it and that kind of thing?
Well, I'm sure that the recommendation goes forward. But once the dog is in the home with as a canine companion, of course it's up to the person.
Yeah, that's good. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to tell us about it? Oh, I know. I wanted to ask you about the bomb dog.
You want to start on that?
Sure, the bomb dog. We met the bomb dog at an elder hostel, and it was a dog working for the firearms and
Alcohol, tobacco.
alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Uh-huh.
And it was a chocolate lab.
Uh-huh.
And so when we went in and this dog came in, you know, and the owner to demonstrate, we asked about the dog and told her that we had a CCI dog. Well, this dog was a dropout from CCI. So
But
the
they
dog
took
was a
it
flunky.
on for the drug
That's
type
right.
drug sniffer.
The person that had raised it was a fireman, and they already had 2 other dropouts. Some people just keep raising these puppies, and you can only keep so many puppies.
Yeah.
So this other organization decided that it was fit for them. And beautiful, beautiful dog goes around and sniffs out bombs and firearms.
Well, and I was wondering too if they have them for like locating people that are lost in the woods or something. Did they?
Well, again, CCI is a service organization, so they do not specifically, but these dogs could be adopted by organizations that do that.
Yeah.
Again, because the intelligence level is very,
Right.
very high on these dogs. This bomb dog, I'm told he can sniff out something like 32.
God bless you.
Yeah, okay. Could sniff out something like 32 different kinds of explosives. And when they find it, they just sit down right next to it, and their handler.
32 different kinds of. That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I can't even sniff out certain.
I can't sniff out anything.
I go to
And
the
the-
spices and I ask my husband, what is this?
If it isn't written on them, but the only time the dog gets fed is when they find something. So they don't get a bowl of food in the morning.
Oh.
You know, they measure out as much food as they're going to need all day long, and then all day long the dog gets fed. Every time they find something, they get fed. These dogs live by their stomach.
So that's the only
They work
way,
for food.
huh?
They work for
That's
food.
interesting too.
Yeah, it is.
So on a day when they're not out actually working in the field, then the trainer is working with them on just additional training.
Can she do general commands like sit?
Sure. Go, sit. Down. Down.
She is spoiled. You've spoiled her.
Down. 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 Good girl. Good down.
Jill, you've been a perfect lady. Carl, I know that you and Margaret will surely miss this beautiful animal when you have to give her up.
Now is the big day, graduation. Puppy raisers, teen training students, and their friends and family gather to celebrate day, graduation. Puppy raisers, teen training students, and their friends and family gather to celebrate the beginning of the new Human-Canine Partnership, the new Canine Companions for Independence Assistance Dog Teams. Graduation is an emotional event because the puppy raisers literally hand over the graduating dog's leash to its new partner.
Raised well, also known as Gummy. They are from Reno, Lake Tahoe, and Sacramento. And this is the first puppy for Lynn. This is the 15th puppy for this Astro family. Thank you. Carl and Margaret McCann of Morgan Hill, California, raised Jill, and this is their very first puppy. And we have Candace II, raised by Tara Ford and Nancy Plumley of Portland, Oregon, and this is their first puppy. Carrie Farrow of Sacramento, California, raised Bria, also known as Risky Princess, and this is their second puppy.
And this has been truly a good educational program. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been our pleasure.
Thank you for hosting the program. Yes, we will certainly miss her, but we went into the program realizing that if she's successful, she's going to go on to somebody that will love her just like we do, but they will also need her, and that makes it all worthwhile.
That's wonderful, isn't it? Thank you so much for doing this for the needy person, too. The Better Part crew and I hope you have enjoyed listening to Margaret and Carl relating their story and experience with this beautiful dog. If you would like to learn more about our group or our shows, we can be reached at the Cupertino Senior Center, 408-777-3150, or at our website, www.thebetterpart.com. Thank you for joining us today. We'll look forward to entertaining you again next week.
Some material for today's program was provided by the CCI organization.